Hello children, how are you all doing? I hope you people are safe at home and I am also safe here. Today I welcome you all to our class 8 science. Cell structure and functions chapter 8. We have already learned that the things around us are living or non-living, isn't it children? And you may recall that all living organisms carry out certain basic functions also. So before that, shall we have a warm-up session here? So we have read about the fact that unlike non-living organisms, no, living organisms can perform different life-sustaining functions. So these functions may involve the use of body parts as well as various organs. Yes, children. So the organs present in the bodies of living organisms are specialized to carry out specific tasks, isn't it? So can you name some body parts or organs present in plants or animals that carry out specific functions? For example, I could say roots of plant. So the roots of plants, what's the function of the roots, children? So they perform the function of anchorage. That is, they will anchor, they will fix the plant to the soil, so the plant will stand erect. Yes, and also not only that, roots also helps in the absorption process, absorption of water and minerals, nutrients from the soil for the plant function. Yes, children. So generally living organisms carry out certain basic functions. Just now I told you that. So what are the basic functions? The first and foremost thing for a living organism is to live. So for the survival of the living organism, there are various metabolic reactions taking place in them. So like respiration. So the first thing is the living organism has to respire. It has to breathe in and breathe out the gases. Okay. And then it has to excrete the waste. So it's very, very important for the living organism to get rid of the waste from the body, and all the gases, waste materials, the water, whichever the living organisms drink. So all these should be transported within the body. So for that we need a transportation system. And then the living organism need food, no, for nutritive food. So these nutrients also carried through the blood vessels. That's the nutrition. And then metabolism. Metabolism is nothing but the making and breaking of the substances, the synthesis and the breaking. That's known as the metabolism. So what are the materials essential for our body, for the living organism functioning? They will be synthesized within the body, and which are all not necessary. They will be broken down into simpler substances and they will be used for other metabolic reactions. And not only that, the living organism has to reproduce. They have to give birth to their young ones so that they can maintain their species. They can sustain their species in this world. So that's why all living organisms carry out certain basic functions to live, children. So it's a life process, I can say. Different sets of organs perform various functions. Just now we have listed, no? So in this lesson, we shall learn about the basic structural unit of an organ. So that's known as the cell, children. So we can even say the cells may be compared to bricks. So the bricks are assembled to make a building, no? So have you ever visited a construction area, a construction place? So there, the bricks will be used for constructing the building. So like the bricks, no? Similarly, the cells are assembled to make the body of every living organism. So look at this picture here. I have given the amoeba and then I have shown with the bricks. So that like the bricks only, the organ is formed with the basic structural unit called the cell. Cells are assembled to make the body of every living organism's children. So here I have given one flow chart that if you take the cell, a group of cells, no, when one cell combined with another cell, no, you will get a tissue. And then these tissue, when they form group with other tissues, they will form an organ. And similarly, the organs, when they group with other organs, they'll form the organ system. And these organ system finally leads to a living organism, isn't it? So this is about the flowchart which shows from cells to living organisms, children. The next topic we are going to see is the discovery of the cell. Who discovered the cell, children? It's nothing but the Robert Hooke. So the Robert Hooke only he observed the slices of cork under a simple magnifying device. So what do you mean by cork, children? Let me explain that in the next slide. So if you look at this picture, no, it shows the cork, a part of a bark of a tree, children. So Robert Hooke, he took thin slices of cork and observed them under a microscope. So what he noticed in those days, he noticed the partitioned boxes or the compartments in the cork slice. If you look at here, you can see the hexagonal shape compartments. So these boxes, no, they appeared like a honeycomb. Have you ever seen the honeycomb? It will be like similar to the scarf only. So he also noticed that one box was separated from the other by a wall or a partition. There will be a partition. Separation will be there between the corks. So he termed the cell for each box. So what he said, he said that each box is called the cell. So what Hooke observed as boxes or cells in the car were actually dead cells, children. Yes, so the cells of living organisms, no, they could be observed only after the discovery of the improved microscope. So let me show the microscopes in my next slide, children. Now we are going to see about the cell. So as already I told you that cells are compared with the buildings. They are compared with the bricks of the buildings. So both bricks in a building and cells in the living organisms are basic structural units, children. So just like the buildings, no. So though built of similar bricks have different designs, shapes, and sizes. Similarly, in the living world, the organisms differ from one another but are all made up of cells. So the cells in the living organisms are complex living structures, unlike the non-living bricks, children. So this is the picture which compare the brick wall with the onion peel. This we can view the onion peel which shows the similar structure of bricks. What is this picture, children? This is the egg. The egg of a hen, no, represents a single cell and is big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. We can see the egg, no. So this egg, no, it is a single cell of the hen. So which we can see with our unaided eye means what? Without using the microscope, we can view. So which is a single cell. And let me explain the structure of cell in my upcoming slides. Our next topic is organisms show variety in cell number, shape, and size. How do scientists observe and study the living cells, children? They use microscopes, which magnify objects, children. So, the stains are also used to color parts of the cell to study their detailed structure. So, these are the pictures which show the different microscopes, children. The traditional microscope and the modern microscope. There are millions of living organisms in this world, no? So they are of different shapes and sizes. Their organs also vary in shape, size, and number of cells. So let us study about some of them, children. So the first topic we are going to see is the number of cells. Number of cells. So can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree or in a huge animal like the elephant? The number runs into billions and trillions, children. So how human body has trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes. And then different group of cells perform a variety of functions, children. Organisms made of more than one cell, no, they are called multicellular. So they have many cells. And then organisms which does not have many cells, they have only one cell to survive, no, they are known as the unicellular organisms. So there are two types of cellular organisms. They are multicellular organisms and the unicellular organisms. Multi means many and unicellular means only a single cell. How do you define the shape of amoeba, which is given in your textbook, children? So you may say that the shape appears irregular. So amoeba has no definite shape unlike other organisms, isn't it? So it keeps on changing its shape. So it will observe the nearby substances, no, by producing a pseudopodia. So the projections of varying lenses, no, protruding out of its body, they are known as pseudopodia. The term pseudo means false feet. Okay, pseudo means false, podia means feet. And as you have learned this in your class 7 itself, so these projections appear and disappear in amoeba as it move or feeds, isn't it? And here I have given a white blood cell WBC in human blood is another example of a single cell which can change its shape, children. But while WBC is a cell, amoeba is a full-fledged organism. are able to understand the cell and an organism. In the case of WBC, it is a cell in a living organ, in a higher living organism. Whereas in amoeba, it is a full living organism. The single cell of amoeba is a living organism which is capable of independent existence. Okay, so what shape would you expect in organisms with millions of cells? So the figure shows different cells such as blood, muscle, and nerve, no, of human beings. So we, the living organism, we the human beings, we have different sorts of cells. They are the muscle cells, blood cells, nerve cells, like that. Various cells are there. So that's why we have different organ system in our body, and this organ system is made up of different organs. If you take the digestive system, what are the organs present in the digestive system? Your mouth, your esophagus, stomach, small intestine, duodenum, and large intestine, and the anus. So there are different organs in the digestive system. Like that, various systems we have in our body. So we are the higher level of living organism. Whereas the amoeba, which is a single-celled organism, that is unicellular organism. Whereas human beings, we are the multicellular organisms. We have different type of cells in our body which makes different organ system. Okay, so generally the shape of the cells, no, they are round, spherical, or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends. They exhibit a spindle shape, while some cells, no, they are quite long, but some are branched like the nerve cells. They are the neurons. So the nerve cell, what is the function of the nerve cell? They receive and transfer the messages, isn't it? So this is about the shape of the cells. The size of cells in living organisms may be as small as a millionth of a meter, that is micrometer or micron, or maybe as large as a few centimeters. But most of the cells are microscopic in size and they are not visible to the unaided eye, children. So they need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope, isn't it? So the micro means what? They can be viewed only under the microscope. That's why they are known as the microorganisms, like virus, bacteria, like that. And the smallest cell, what is the length of the smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in the bacteria. And the largest cell measuring 170 mm into 130 mm is the egg of an ostrich. So here I have given the structure of a egg. So the egg contains the outer white structure is known as the albumin, and the inner uh, yellow color structure is known as the yolk. Okay, so it is the size of the cell, and I have given the structure of the egg also. Egg is a single cell, isn't it? It is a single cell of an of a hen. Now the next topic is cell structure and function. Already we have discussed in the previous slide, the group of cells makes tissue, and group of tissues makes organ, and group of organs form organ system. Group of organ system forms an living organism. Okay. So here we are going to study about the structure and function of a cell. Okay. You have learned that each living organism has many organs, no? So you have studied in your class 7 now about the digestive system. Just now I have discussed with you. Each organ in the system, no, performs different functions such as digestion, assimilation, and absorption, isn't it? And different organs of a plant, no, perform specific or specialized functions. For example, roots help in the absorption of water and minerals, isn't it? So leaves, as you have learned in your class 7 now, are responsible for the synthesis of food. So each organ is further made up of smaller parts called tissue. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. So now, what are the parts of the cell? The cell contains three parts here. First one is the cell membrane and cytoplasm and the nucleus. I have given the human cheek cells here. It has the cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm, and the nuclear membrane. The nucleus is surrounded by a membrane called the nuclear membrane. Now look at this picture which shows this onion peel. So here if you see, no, the nucleus, this is the nucleus present inside the cell and which will be surrounded by the nuclear membrane, and then this part is known as the cytoplasm. So here the cell has the cytoplasm and the nucleus, isn't it? And it also has the membrane. So this is the membrane around the each cell, children. Understood? So this is the nucleus and the cytoplasm and the cell membrane, isn't it? What is the cell, children? So this is the typical animal cell, children. So it has the cell membrane, a thin layer which surrounds the cell, children, and then the nucleus in the center of the cytoplasm. Inside the cell you have cytoplasm. No, the cytoplasm has various cell organelles like a nucleus, and then the Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, like that. That part you will be coming to know in your next higher class. And then the cytoplasm, and then the protoplasm means what? It is the living substance of a cell which includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus, children. So the cell membrane is a thin layer that surrounds the cell. And what's the nucleus? A dense rounded body that controls all the activities of the cell. And the cytoplasm means what? It is the jelly-like substance enclosed by the cell membrane. And the protoplasm means it's the entire living substance of the cell, which includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. And you will be coming to know the functions of the cytoplasm and the nucleus and the cell membrane in the next session. Now look at this picture, children, which shows the cell, entire cell, and from that entire cell, the picture is showing the nucleus. From the nucleus, the chromosome and the DNA. Now let me explain the cell membrane first, children. So the boundary of the cell is known as the cell membrane. Okay, so as I explained to you in the onion cell itself, the onion cell has a cell membrane, no? The cell membrane is nothing but a thick covering. Okay, that thick covering in the case of onion cell, since it is a plant cell, it's known as the cell wall. Okay, so the plant cell has cell wall as well as the cell membrane. Now this slide shows the animal cell. Here you have only the cell membrane. Understood? And what is the function of the cell membrane? The cell membrane will allow the particles to enter into the cell and to go out of the cell. That's the function of the cell membrane, children. So it is the thick layer around the animal cell as well as the plant cell. Understood? The next we are going to see about the nucleus. So the nucleus, which is the master of the cell, we can say it's the brain of the cell, we can say. So the inner structure of the nucleus is made up of the chromosome. The chromosomes in turn are made up of the DNA. Understood, children? So this DNA only forms the gene. The genes are grouped together to form the chromosome, and chromosomes grouped together to form a chromatin. So inside the nucleus you will have the chromatin. So this is the structure which transfer the messages from the parent to the offspring, children. So that is the function of the nucleus. Picture shows the plant cell. So the outermost layer is known as the cell wall, which is present only in the plant cells, children. And the inner structures like cytoplasm, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, nucleolus, chromosomes, nucleoplasm, vacuole, mitochondria. So these are all the other organelles present in the plant cell, children. Understood? Now if you take the cell wall, okay, the boundary of the onion cell is known as cell membrane, and above that you have the first and foremost membrane is known as the cell wall, which is a rigid, which is thick layer present only in the plant cells, children. Understood? So this additional layer surrounding the cell membrane, no, is required by the plants for protection. So this gives protection from the for the plant cell, because the plants need protection against various variations in the temperature, high wind speeds, atmospheric moisture, etc. So they are exposed to these variations because they cannot move from one place to another. Okay, so the cells can be observed in the leaf peel of various examples like Eliodia, Royo. So these, no, you can prepare a slide also in the case of the onion. So the plant cells, no, they have a thick rigid layer that's known as the cell wall, and you have the various structures which is present in the plant cell are chloroplast, and then you have ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, and a big vacuole. If you see in the center, no, there is a big vacuole. So this is the structure of the plant cell. Now look at this picture. This shows the animal cell, children. So both plants and animal cells, they have similar structures like cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. There are some differences between the plant cell and animal cell like cell wall, chloroplast, a big vacuole. Okay, so but other than that, all other structures are similar to plant and animal cell children. If you look at this picture, you have the lysosome, cytoplasm, ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, nucleus, nucleolus, isn't it? Similar to the plant cell only, all that structures are there, and a small vacuole will be there in mitochondria and centriole. So the centriole and lysosomes are only in the animal cells, and in the plant cells we have cell wall and a chloroplast. So they are present in the plant cell. So this is the structure of the animal cell, and we are going to see the difference between the plant and animal cell in the next slide. Before comparing the plant and animal cell, we will see about the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the inner area present in the cell, no? It is a jelly-like substance present between the cell membrane and the nucleus, okay? And inside that cytoplasm only, various other components, that is organelles of cells are present in the cytoplasm. So they are the mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, etc. So this you will learn about them in your later classes, children. And let me explain about the nucleus one more time. So already I told you it is an important component of the living cell. It is the brain of the cell, I said. What shape it is spherical and located in the center of the cell, children. And you can also make slides when you go to school, no, your teachers may show you about the stains of the nucleus in the microscope. So what is the nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane called the nuclear membrane. So this membrane is also a porous and allows the movement of materials between the cytoplasm and the inside of the nucleus, like the cell membrane, children. And inside the nucleus you also have an additional structure called the nucleolus. Understood? So as its role in the inheritance, no, nucleus acts as a control center of the activities of the cell. So the entire content of the living cell is known as the protoplasm. So the protoplasm includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So the already I told you the nucleus has the thread-like structure called the chromosome. So this chromosomes only, it will transfer the messages. Not only that, it also sends messages for the protein synthesis inside the cytoplasm. Now look at this picture, a plant cell and an animal cell. So the cell membrane is present in both the cells and vacuole is present, but only the size is different. In plant cell, the vacuole is larger, whereas in animal cell, the vacuole is smaller. And in both the cells have nucleus and both the cells have cytoplasm. And let me see the tabular column in the next slide. So this is the major difference between the plant cell and animal cell, children. What is the size of the animal cell? It will be smaller, whereas the plant cell, they are larger in size. And in animal cell membrane is present, but cell wall is absent, children. Whereas in plant cell, both are present. Cell membrane and cell wall are present. Animal cells, they lack plastids. So plastids are absent, whereas the plant cell, they are usually present. Plastids are the one which give color to the leaves, children, like chloroplast, okay, chromoplast. So chloroplast is the place where the photosynthesis takes place, and chromoplast is the place where which gives color to the leaves, children. We have different varieties of colors, no, not only green color, we have different variated colors like croton plants are there, no. For that, these plastids are important. And vacuoles in animal cell, they are smaller but more in number, whereas in plant cell they are larger in size, but they are only one vacuole, large vacuole will be there. And then centrioles, centrosome, lysosomes are present only in animal cell, and these are absent in the plant cell, children. And Golgi bodies are well formed, whereas in plant cell the Golgi bodies are not well formed, children. This table shows the comparison of plant cell and animal cell, children. We have already discussed this, no? So only difference between the plant and animal cell wall is absent in animal cell, and plastids are absent in the animal cell. This part is very important, no? The prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. So what are prokaryotes? The prokaryotes means they are the living organisms, no? With certain kinds of cells. That cells, they have nuclear material without the nuclear membrane. So the nuclear material will be scattered in the cell. They are known as the prokaryotes. So the prokaryotes means what? Primitive. Primitive nucleus. They have only the primitive nucleus. So examples for this prokaryotes are bacteria, blue-green algae, children, and eukaryotes like onion cells, cheek cells, and higher living organisms. They have nuclear membrane. So they have the nucleus with the nuclear membrane. So all organisms other than bacteria and blue-green algae, they are called the eukaryotes. Eukaryotes means what? True, true nucleus. That's about the eukaryotes. Thank you, children. You would have understood all the concepts in this cell structure and functions. Please share and subscribe my channel. See you. Bye children.